Hello again, classy people, this is Josh the Top Hat Gamer, and this week I'm reviewing Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. The latest from Dear Esther developer The Chinese Room, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is the latest addition to the growing genre of so-called walking simulators. But is it as engaging as other narrative-driven experiences? Is its story enough to keep players interested? Let's take a look. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is set in a small village in Shropshire, England. What is usually a welcoming old village is turned into an eerie sight, as all of its inhabitants have seemingly disappeared without a trace. You seem to be the only person still in the area, and mysterious lights are your only clue regarding the mystery of where everyone is or why everyone has vanished. The initial premise of the game is definitely interesting. A whole town of people just up and vanishes with no sign of a struggle or cataclysm. On paper it sounds really cool, but Everybody's Gone to the Rapture handles the mystery of the situation very poorly. Within the first 10 minutes, you'll most likely come across some information that narrows down the prime cause of this occurrence, and by the end of it, you'll be left with a disappointingly vague explanation. Unfortunately, it all ends up being a rather big letdown. I can't really give much away regarding the overarching plot, but there's very little payoff to be found at the game's conclusion. I would say that the most intriguing aspect of Everybody's Gone to the Rapture's narrative are the smaller, interconnected stories of the various townfolk. You'll witness a whole range of events in the lead up to the mysterious occurrence, but sadly only a few of these smaller side stories are worth seeking out, and many of the characters are just straight up unlikable. To its credit, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture has a very unique atmosphere that is brought to life by its detailed setting, inviting colour palette, and the stark contrast between the ambience of a lifeless English village and the momentary bursts of melodic choirs. The game's visuals, while not the most technically impressive, are surprisingly colourful, and this village in Shropshire is brought to life by a surprising attention to detail, from the pub blackboards advertising pints and curries for £2 to the posters up in the community message boards. My biggest gripe with the visuals is that there are so many reused assets. I'm not from England, but I think it's safe to assume that not everyone has the same interior decorator. There are also way too many flyers walling about the flue for this small village of maybe 100 people. It's like thousands of flyers around. You don't need that many flyers. As I mentioned before, much of the game's sound design is comprised of the lonely, eerie ambience of a lifeless village, and at the game's outset, I genuinely felt creeped out by the contrast between the somewhat familiar setting and the unusual emptiness of the streets. Eventually, choral music begins to seep in every now and then, usually punctuating significant moments or events. The tracks are all excellent, emotional pieces, but it's hard to get swept up in that emotion when you don't really care for the characters who are being affected by the game's events. Now, I mentioned characters and key moments, and it's kind of hard to imagine how that plays out when you're the only person left in the village. While there aren't any physical people left in the town, the mysterious lights floating around the streets are the key to witnessing the events leading up to the strange happenings. Usually by just walking around you'll be shown events as they occurred, but with light outlines standing in for the actual villagers. It's through these occurrences that you'll learn more about the characters in the town, as well as seeing the lead up to whatever it was that made the town's occupants just vanish. These come in two varieties: autoplay and fuck with the motion control until the game is happy. The only reason I can come up with for this is that one of the developers looked at the game and said, "Oh, we should probably put some kind of gameplay in." Frankly, I was disappointed to find that apart from the odd radio or telephone audio log, this was the only way to gather information. While games like Gone Home give you notes and physical evidence to inspect and manipulate, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is merely a handful of scenes shown to you in whatever order you find them. You don't feel like an active participant in this story. The game neatly segments itself into 6 different chapters, each following a specific character, and though it might seem that this game is all about exploring the abandoned village, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture doesn't appear to want you to actually explore. Each section has an orb of light that will lead you to key occurrences, and while there are a few off the beaten path that they don't lead you to, exploring to potentially find nothing feels like a waste of time, in part due to your character's painfully slow walk. Never fear, however, as the walking comes in 2 speeds. Holding down R2 will make you move like a spry 100-year-old, while the standard pace can only be described as glacial. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture is the worst example of a narrative-driven game that I've seen in recent memory. The initial premise is mysterious and exciting, and the setting is a fantastic blend of familiar imagery and unsettling loneliness, but the overarching plot, unlikable characters, and the way the poor execution of its simple gameplay mechanics, for instance, walking, deters from the main point of the game, which is exploration. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture gets the Top Hat Gamer rating of bad. I love a good narrative-driven game, but this isn't one of them. If you're looking for something along the lines of Gone Home, then this one comes up lacking, as your interaction with the world is minimal, and the story itself struggles to provide an engaging mystery to uncover. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the review informative. If you missed last week's review on Tembo the Badass Elephant, click the annotation. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go delete this off my PS4 as soon as possible.